everyone, my name is Nur Sabrina binti Mansur. As you guys have watched my videos that I've edited for you, so you guys must already know what topic that we're going to learn today. So the topic that we're going to learn today is menstrual cycle. So let's watch the next video.
The menstrual cycles refers to the regular changes in the activity of the ovaries and the endometrium that makes reproduction possible. The endometrium is the layer of tissues lining inside of the uterus. This lining consists of functional layer, which is subject to hormonal changes and it's shed during menstruations, and a thin layer basal layer which fats the overlying functional layer. The menstrual cycle actually consists of two interconnected and synchronized processes. The first one is the ovarian cycle, which centers on the development of the ovarian follicles and ovulations, and the uterine or endometrial cycle, which centers on the way in which the functional endometrium thickens and sheds in response to ovarian activity. Menarche, which refers to the onset of the first menstrual period, usually occurs during early adolescence as part of a puberty. Following menarche, the menstrual cycles recurs on a monthly basis, pausing only during pregnancy until a person reaches menopause, when her ovarian function declines and she stops having a menstrual periods. The monthly menstrual cycles can vary in duration from 20 to 35 days, with an average of 28 days. Each menstrual cycle begins on the first day of menstruations, and this is referred to as day 1 of the cycle. Ovulations, or the release of the oocytes from the ovary, usually occurs 14 days before the first day of menstruations. In other words, 14 days before the next cycle begins. So, for an average 28 days menstrual cycle, this means that there are usually 14 days leading up to ovulation. In other words, the pre-ovulatory phase, and 14 days following ovulations, in other words, which is the post-ovulatory phase. During these two phases, the ovaries and the endometrium each undergo their own set of changes, which are separate but related. As a result, each phase of the menstrual cycle has two different names to describe these two different parallel processes. For the ovary, the 2 weeks leading up to ovulation is called the ovarian follicular phase, and these correspond to the menstrual and proliferative phase of the endometrium. Similarly, the 2 weeks following ovulation is referred to as the ovarian luteal phase, which also correspond to the secretory phase of the endometrium.
If men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and though we may share a planet and many other similarities, our bodies function in some majorly different ways. In this video, we will take a look at some of those differences unique to women. Women between the age of 20s and 50 years old undergo a monthly cycle in which their uterus prepare for a pregnancy. It prepare for fertilized egg to settle and grow into a baby. As the girl get older and their bodies change, they get their period. The uterus is the part inside of the body where a baby grows when a woman is pregnant. The inner lining of the uterus supports and nourishes the developing babies. If there is no babies, the lining is shed during her period. During her period, blood and other tissues from the uterus leave the body through the vagina. A period can last from a few days to about a week. This is the time from one period to another, usually about 28 days. Day 1 of the menstrual cycle is the first days of a period. The uterus starts to shed its linings. As soon as the periods end, the uterus prepares again to receive a fertilized egg. Eggs are released from a woman's ovaries. Eggs are super tiny. It is a 1/10 of the size of a poppy seed. Women have 2 ovaries, one on each side. The fallopian tube leads from each ovary to the uterus. In the middle of the menstrual cycles, an ovary releases an egg. After ovulations, the eggs travel down to the fallopian tubes. It takes a few days to complete the journey. Meanwhile, the lining of the uterus gradually gets thicker, so can support the development of a fertilized egg. If the egg gets fertilized, it will implant in the uterus and the woman is pregnant. If the egg is not fertilized, the woman is not pregnant and the egg will begin to dissolve because the woman is not pregnant. The lining of the uterus is not needed and a woman will have her monthly period and the cycles will begin again. As I said before, the menstrual cycle usually lasts about 28 days. During this period, women undergo drastic hormonal fluctuation as well as physical discomfort, such as abdominal cramps, headache, backache, and general nausea. This is linked to it being colloquially referred to as the curse. Menstrual cycle is controlled by two main hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is produced by the ovaries and causes the uterus lining, the endometrium, thicken again after menstruation so that it is ready to receive an embryo. Progesterone, produced by the empty follicle in the ovary, see how it is produced after the egg has been released, and then drop off if the egg does not embed in the uterus or if the egg is unfertilized. But if the egg is fertilized and embeds, then progesterone levels stay high for the first 6.5 months of the pregnancy. The follicle continues to produce it and the placenta is formed. So, estrogen builds up the uterus linings and progesterone maintains it during the second half of the menstrual cycle. There are two other hormones also involved. The first one is stimulating hormone or FSH and the luteinizing hormone or LH. Both FSH and LH are secreted by the pituitary gland. FSH causes the eggs to mature in the ovary and it also stimulates the ovaries to release estrogen. The estrogen then stops FSH being produced so that only one egg matures in the cycle. LH causes the mature egg to be released from the ovary and stimulates the release of progesterone. You may want to browse the internet to learn more about these hormones. So, from this video, you should now have a better understanding of how the menstrual cycle works, how the main hormones estrogen and progesterone control it, and how a woman's body is affected by these drastic changes.
Alright, so as a quick recap, the menstrual cycles begin on the first day of menstruations. For an average 28 days menstrual cycle, the changes which occur in the ovary during the first 14 days are called the follicular phase. Ovulation usually occurs at day 14 as a result of the estrogen-induced surge in luteinizing hormones. The last 14 days of the cycle are the luteal phase, during which progesterone becomes the dominant hormone. While the length of the follicular phase can vary, the luteal phase almost always precedes the onset of menses by 14 days. The uterus also goes its own set of changes. During the first 14 days of the cycle, the endometrium goes through the menstrual phase and the prolactive phase, and during the last 14 days, it goes through the secretory phase.
So that's the end of our lesson today. So the next videos, I'll show you guys a short videos about what and how women undergoes in their every month in their life. you guys for watching.